Hi everyone, it's Margaret with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Thanks for joining me. Today's card is from the August 2026 card class, and it features the Sunset Coast bundle. This is a fun bundle, and we've actually used it on another card, so be sure to look for that video as well. But today's card is just a really nice card to use for a variety of occasions, but we're using the Wherever This Note Finds You stamp from the stamp set, and then for the interior I stamped I Hope It Finds You Happy. So it's just a really nice sentiment. There's several here that you could use, but I just really liked that one. And if you ordered a class kit to go, you'll receive all of the materials pre-cut for you. You will need to do your own stamping, and we'll go over the inks and so forth that you're going to use. In the description of this video, I do have all of the cut dimensions and the materials that are being used, so you can refer to that if you wish to recreate this card. The stamps that we're using from the set are the large water stamp, and of course the sentiment, Wherever This Note Finds You, and then the one on the inside that I had showed that says I Hope It Finds You Happy. For the envelope and the interior corner of the card, I'm using the small water stamp. You will need the sun stamp and the little sailboat if you wish to add that. The dies that we're using from the set, you'll be using the die that has the sailboat in it. And as you see, we only use the sailboat, so we are just focusing on using that one. And then the one with the 3 seagulls on there, you'll need that die as well. So those are the dies that you need. Let me put this to the side. The inks that we're using Timid Tiger, Golden Glow, Misty Moonlight. Those are the 3 main that we'll be using on the card front. And then the Crumb Cake is, of course, what we're stamping the little sailboat embellishment with. You will also need one of the loose anchor embellishment, little trinkets, as well as our linen thread. And the other materials that we're using for our card base, we'll go ahead and start putting it together. We are using Crumb Cake, and we're just going to take and fold that. Our layering panel, actually our 2 front layering panels, both come from the Country Woods Designer Series paper. That paper is on sale. It's one of the ones being featured for this month of August with the 15% discount. So if you like this card and want to make more of them and use this paper, I highly recommend that you buy that paper while it's on sale. 15% off is a pretty good discount. And I see I have blue ink on my fingers already, and I have not even opened that ink pad. So it must be coming from from the stamps. I had not cleaned those. Very good, since I knew I was going to be using them. Shame on me. So I'm going to clean my hands before I pick up the white paper here. So we'll add our 2 layering panels. Let me just take a damp cloth here and wipe my fingers. Okay, that's a little bit better. So we have our base. Then you're going to need a white panel. That's what we're going to stamp on the front. You'll also need another little white piece, and as I said, all of that is in the dimensions that I'm using. They're in the description of this video. And then for the sailboats that we're going to die cut, you're going to need a piece of basic beige as well as a piece of crumb cake cardstock. And it doesn't need to be a big piece. It could be a scrap, because we're just going to cut the sailboat from both of those, because we're going to do a little scissor work to get the sail, the shapes that we want. And then we have Misty Moonlight layering panel for the inside, as well as our interior white panel piece. The inks that we're using: Timid Tiger, Golden Glow, and Misty Moonlight. Those are the main colors. Then if you do decide to stamp the envelope and card interior, you'll use the crumb cake. You will need 2 blending brushes, one for the Timid Tiger and one for the Golden Glow. And then you will also need a Post-it note or some type of paper to use as masking. And I'm going to go ahead and start stamping and show you how we're going to be doing that. So let me pull in first the large water, and there's where the ink is that I keep getting on my hands. Let me wipe that. Okay, so that's Misty Moonlight. And you're going to stamp this roughly 1/3 of the way down on that piece of basic white. And now this color will lighten as it dries. I'm going to set that to the side, and while we have the blue out, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiments. So wherever this note finds you. And then if you wish to do the interior panel, we'll go ahead and stamp that with "I hope it finds you happy." And I am going to stamp the water on the lower corner, the small water, on both my interior piece and my envelope. Let me get another envelope. I have ink. All over that other envelope. I must have set it on top of a stamp. I promise you, I'm not always this messy. But there are certain inks that I seem to have issues with always getting on my hand, and it's usually Misty Moonlight, Secret Sea, Black, or Night of Navy. So we'll set these to the side for now. Let's come back with our other piece. It has dried. You can tell that ink has lightened some. And this is where I'm going to take my Post-it note, and I'm going to cover right there over the water, because we're going to stamp, we're going to color our horizon because we're going to have the sun setting. So first I'm taking my Golden Glow, I'm inking up my blending brush. I am going off to the side. I've got a scrap piece of paper here that I like to go off on because I don't want a big blob. So then we're just going to follow along that, and you can go up as high as you want. But I'm probably going about 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to get our sun, and we're going to ink up that with the Golden Glow full strength, and we're just going to, let's see, the middle. So we'll put the sun about here. The sun is setting on us. So there we have that. Next, I'm going to pull in the Timid Tiger. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use our blending brush, ink that up. See, I don't want that here, so I'm doing it, taking a lot of the ink off here. And then I'm just doing a real light, not adding a lot of pressure, but just so it has a little bit of orange in it. And then for the reflection into the water, I'm just going to reverse this, pick up the Golden Glow again, and just in that little white area of the water, we'll add our reflection. And there again, come back with, oh, and look what I did. Okay, we'll fix that. I'll show you. I have my handy dandy little eraser before it gets too dry. I need to wipe my fingers again. As I said, I'm one of these that you pick up blue and I always end up with it on my hands. So I'm just light pressure in a little circle, and that's coming right off. So I think I've salvaged that. Okay, but there now we have our sunset piece. Sunset on the horizon. Okay. Next, we will add this to our card front. Let me put a straight pin down my glue. I left the top off too long and it starts to dry in there. And to save time, I pre-cut the two sailboats, the one out of Basic Beige and out of our crumb cake. I want the base to be the crumb cake. And then for the base of the ship, there is, when you cut it, and I actually almost cut this on too small of a piece, but there is this, if you go down from the sail, the second little line that's in there, that's what I determined look like the bottom of the sailboat. And we're just going to snip that and any other parts depending upon how big your piece of cardstock is when you cut it. But you just trim the sailboat. So we have that as our full sailboat. Then we only want the sail on this one. So here, this line, it's actually, as you see, I can put my tip of my scissors in there. I'm just going to cut right along that. Pull that right out. And that will give us our sail. And that's trash. We will cut, get that cut and moved out of the way, and now we'll just add a little adhesive, and I must be starting to get low in here. Let me see, there it is. I'm going to trim this little piece a little bit more. There. And then that just lines right over our sailboat that's in the crumb cake. Squeeze those together good so it stays on there. Now we'll add this to our card. And you can add it at any place that you want. But there we have that. And then you'll take your sentiment, and we're going to fussy cut that. But to save time, I did one that I've already fussy cut. We're adding that with dimensionals. And we'll center that under our water and under our boat. And the 3 gulls that we cut this out of a scrap of the Secret Sea. And if you ordered the kit, I did put on the back, there's adhesive sheet. So you have, there's 3, actually I have 4 here because I have 1 left from another card that I use. Let me move that out of the way. So you'll have the 3 gulls. We're 2 of them, the smallest one, and 1 of the larger birds. They are flying from left to right. As you notice, let me lift this up, you can see their little beaks. We don't need those. You can save one. You put it, you could put those on the interior of your card if you wish. So we're only using the one that is flying from right to left. Of course, as I said, you could use all 3 if you wanted, but I thought that 1 was sufficient on the front of the card. So take off that adhesive. Now we just need to add our little trinket. Let me reach over here. I was looking for my glue dots, but I must have moved the ones I was using earlier. And what I did is I just rolled the glue dot, sort of rolled it on itself, and put one right behind where the hole is. That's going to get covered with our bow. And then I'm doing another one that I'm going to roll down here at the bottom edge. Just lightly put it on and sort of roll it as I'm pulling the tip off here. Tie a small bow using the baker's twine. I tried to run a bow and tie it through the anchor, the top hole in that anchor, and I just thought it was a little too bulky. You may have better luck at tying them than I do, but that's why I just decided to go with a plain little bow. Put my glue dot right down there. There again, I rolled it and sort of pushing it where that hole is, and then I'll just place that on there so that is definitely well adhered. We'll bring in our envelope and our panel for the front of the card, or excuse me, for the middle of the card. The little small sailboat, which I am inking with the crumb cake. Looks like I need to re-ink my crumb cake. It's starting to get a little light. I can tell by the way it's inking up. But that's works. And then to finish our card, I don't think I'm going to get it finished. I think my ink is out. Let's see if I have, or my ink, my glue. I'm running out of ink, I'm running out of glue. It's time to get my re-inkers out and get out a new container of glue. When all else fails, use my stamping seal. I do prefer the liquid glue most of the time because of the play that it gives me, since sometimes I'm not real good at laying things down straight. So there, we have completed our card using the Sunset Coast bundle, and I hope that you've enjoyed this card. If you have any questions, just send me a message and let me know. As I said at the earlier start of this video, you'll find the materials used and all of the cut dimensions in the description of this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy creating this card.